to another, from anger, from sadness to grief, from rape to murder, back to the beginning of time. That's quite a mouthful for an actor to deliver in one, and I actually took a couple of sentences out because I'm not an actor. But that's an example of the kind of long speech that is quite unfamiliar in some cases to theatre goers as well as the actors and directors who have to deliver it. And then this next and last excerpt I'm going to read is when the mother, Nawal, is 60 years old, and she has testified at those hearings that produced some encounter with her past that made her fall silent, catatonic, for 5 years until she died. And her son has found the written out testimonial in a notebook that she left him in her will. So, through the magic of theatre, we hear her testifying, not the son reading from the notebook, but Nawal at 60 is testifying to the tribunal. Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the tribunal, I wish to make my testimony standing, my eyes wide open, because I was often forced to keep them closed. I'll make my testimony without blinking, without hesitating, without trembling, because over the course of those long years, confined to myself, I had a lot of time to think about it, to write it, to read it, to speak it, to weigh it, and to dream of it. I will make my testimony facing my torturer, Abu Dreyer. I speak your name for the last time in my life. I say it so you know that I recognize you, so you can entertain no doubt about that. But now let me remind you of my face, because my face was what you cared least about. I remember much more clearly my skin, my smell, the most intimate details of my body which you treated as a territory to be massacred bit by bit. There are ghosts speaking to you through me. Remember. Perhaps my name will mean nothing to you, because all the women were nothing but whores to you. You used to say whore number 45, whore number 63, and the women, one after another, felt fear and hatred awake inside you. Perhaps my name will mean nothing to you. Perhaps my whore number will mean nothing to you. But there's one thing you haven't forgotten, one thing you can't possibly have forgotten, something that still rings in your ears despite all your efforts to prevent it from drowning your heart. One thing will certainly burst the dike that allows you to forget. The woman who sings. This phrase, this simple phrase, I can see it makes you tremble. Now you remember when you hanged me by the feet, the water and the electrical current, the shards under my fingernails, the gun loaded with blanks against my temple, urine on my body, yours in my mouth on my sex, and your sex and my sex, once, twice, 3 times so often. The time was shattered. And then my belly, growing big with you, your ghastly torture in my belly, and then left alone, all alone. You insisted that I be alone to give birth. 2 children, twins. You made it impossible for me to love the children. Because of you, I struggled to raise them in grief and in silence. How could I tell them about you, tell them about their father, tell them the truth, which in this case was a green fruit that could never ripen. So bitter, bitter is the spoken truth. Great.
first stay in New York. I'm from East Germany, and 20 years ago it was impossible to go to the United States. It was fairer than the moon. And I learned Russian in my school, and sorry about my English. I started my project learning English 3 months ago, and maybe it was a little bit too late. I'm from Leipzig. Leipzig was a town where the peaceful revolution started 20 years ago, and it was a really crazy time. On this time we founded the first independent newspaper in East Germany. That's the other newspaper. I think there is an article on the homepage from the New York Times. The headline was 20 years ago, newspaper without party line. It was for us a big pleasure to read it the New York Times. And the war in Berlin changed my life really completely. But after this, I can work like a journalist. Now I work for a radio station, for cultural radio. I make features, films. But really, 10 years ago, I missed my book writing, and now I published my first novel. Before I wrote a children's book, and I book with stories, short stories. This book, it's a little bit strong. Alle sterben, auch die Löffel stören. In English, is it even die, even the paddlefish? It's a book about a long friendship between a girl and a boy. And the boy, the man, died with 40 years. And the East Germany died too with 30 years. Is a little bit thinner. And this friendship, at the beginning of this friendship, is in a really East German kindergarten. And now, thanks Words Without Borders is first and the second chapter translate in English, and I'm reading now the beginning from chapter 2. That taught me everything about the names. The girl's name is Scarlett Bookledge, and the boy's name is Jean-Paul Langanka. This sounds very, very wrong in German, but it isn't only a joke. On the 60s, nobody can travel around the world in East Germany, and the East German parents were dreaming going around the world and gave her children foreign names, American names, French names. And when an American name, first name, needs a German last name, it sounds very, very strong. And nobody knows the pronunciation